Good morning. My name is Jenny Staley. For those of you that don't know me, I am the author of the blog Conjuring Justice. I'm most noted for researching the Billings case, and I just wanted to take this time to introduce myself to those who don't know me by giving you a little bit of background of who I am. I was born in Cava Heights, Birmingham, Alabama, and I lived there until I was roughly 13. And then I moved to Pensacola to live with my father, who was a resident. Jim Barnett was his name. Very, very honorable man. Anybody that ever knew him will tell you that. Very highly principled. Not much for rules, but rules and principles don't necessarily mean the same thing. And I guess I had a culture shock when I moved to Pensacola, because I went to an all-white school, or a virtually all-white school in Birmingham. That was the suburbs. And when I moved to Pensacola, I went to Wedgwood, which was a very big shock to me. But it wasn't something that you couldn't deal with. But it was a culture shock. I went to Woodham High School. I had honors classes, dual enrollment classes, AP classes. I was, one of the smart kids. I got married right out of high school to a man in the Army. We have 3 children, 24, 22, and 12. I'm a normal mom. I don't claim to be smarter. The only thing, is that I, right now, I graduated from Eastern Michigan University. I have a bachelor's in psychology there. I am currently enrolled in Vanderbilt, which is kind of a yay for me. That was the Harvard of the South for most people. When I grew up in Birmingham, that was where everybody wanted to go, and everybody aimed high for. So I've arrived, I guess. A little late, but I've arrived. I left Pensacola in May of 2009. I moved with my family to Wayne, Michigan, where my husband is from. The economic collapse affected us very badly, obviously. And we went up there to kind of, take care of his mother and to restart. We then moved to Bowling Green, Kentucky in 2014. His job transferred him here, so I came, obviously, which put me closer to Vanderbilt. Yay! And so anyway, my interest in all of this is, we had just left Pensacola when the Billings case happened, and knowing Pat Gonzalez, I became intrigued. You just don't see somebody that not necessarily like, but know, on TV, going to death row. And as I watched the case unfold, I was taking criminology classes at the time at Eastern Michigan, and I brought this case as it was unfolding to one of my professors, Ben Wilcox, and Judge Donald Shelton was another person that looked at the case. And, basically, the things that were transpiring didn't, 1 plus 1 did not equal 2. And, they were saying that there was a lot that could not be explained based on what was in the public domain. So I contacted Pat, and I basically started my own investigation. And during that time, I've been contacted by numerous people. They've come to me. I haven't gone out to them to tell their story. And the funny thing is that while a lot of these cases are not the Billings case, they all have a common denominator in the fact that Sheriff Morgan is involved. And that's significant because the Billings case, you or I would not want to be anywhere near that case, because the evidence of who committed the crime is not reflective in who was arrested. And that is a big problem. And when you talk to people that were close to the Billings family, which I did, people that saw the investigation on the ground in the sheriff's office, more people questioned what was going on than you could possibly realize. And in that questioning, a lot of inconsistencies came up. There was quite a bit of stuff going on. But basically, and as I was told by many law enforcement officers, to have that case completely wrapped up with that number of suspects, conspirators, in less than a week is virtually impossible. It just couldn't happen. Even if they all confessed. You have to investigate it before. If somebody confesses, that doesn't mean they're guilty. That means that you need to find out if they're guilty. And that didn't happen. These cases were then put through the prosecutorial system, and there's a lot of judicial craziness, rulings, and misconduct that are starkly out of the norm for Judge Geeker specifically. Everybody that I know that has ever been in front of him says he's a very fair judge. However, no one disputes the fact that the calls he made and the judgments he made in those cases is ridiculous. And as somebody that's always been inquisitive, my questions have always been why. And until I received a satisfactory answer on why things went so sideways, and why people that were not pointed to with the evidence aren't in jail, then I guess I'm going to keep digging. And that's where Morgan and I diverge paths. The questions can't be answered. So he has mounted this campaign to tell people how crazy I am, that I don't know what I'm talking about. Like I said, I'm just a normal citizen. I voted for the crazy man. I'm not proud of that. I was snowballed just like everybody else into believing Ron McNesby was the worst thing that could happen to the sheriff's office. Clearly we were wrong. A lot of the deputies that have left the department didn't leave because of money. And, that's contrary to what the sheriff would have you believe with this budget issue. The 6 to 12 year maturation in the agency and then leaving shows that, it takes you that long to get your feet grounded in that job. Roughly 5 to 6 years. According to what every trainer, academic, and even officers on the ground have told me. That by year 5, you're starting to understand how the agency works, the pecking order, the politics, the community. You're still putting all those things into focus. By year 6, you've got a good, clear view of what's going on in your community and in your agency, and that's when people leave. And the interesting thing is the 12-year mark, and that's why I wanted to bring that up. David Morgan's been in Escambia law enforcement for 8.5 years. Now, if you have officers that are 12 years in and retiring, that means that they started, roughly, 4 years. They were in 4 years when Morgan got elected. You see that dynamic, that a lot of people hung on until they could hold on no longer, and then left. And that's the great deal of the people that left. You have all these lawsuits against the sheriff by employees for hostile work environment, discrimination, sexual harassment, and it's unprecedented. One or two you make and say that's sour grapes. However, when you have 20 or more, you have to say, maybe there's something there. And that's what's going on. Now, the real reason I did this video was to address the budget issues that Morgan has been propagandizing for the last couple days. He's been actively trying to bully the county commissioners and the public to pressure the county commissioners into raising taxes to cover deputy raises. Well, nobody disagrees with that. I have never had an issue with law enforcement, and I am pro-law enforcement, if anything. I've never been arrested. I don't have a criminal history. I assume that the people that are carrying a badge are supposed to be the white knights and, the good guys. And, that they put their lives on the line is justifiable for whatever pay, But here's my problem. The money was there in January for all of these races and some more. That money was spent by your sheriff. On $127,000 of that was spent on creating a position for Chip Simmons that was non-necessary. Another $20,000 went to Amber Souther for an immensely ridiculous raise. And then you have 22 or 25,000 each for David Ingram, Andy Hobbs, another ridiculously huge leap in pay in 1 year. I mean, that's, that's not 3%. So if you took those 4 people, scaled their raises back to even 10%, you would still have enough to give 5% to every deputy on the force. Period. Period. And that's without adding a damn thing to the budget. So you see that the problem here is not the money or the county commission or the jail or whatever else he would like to. People without valid arguments have excuses, and they have people to offset their blame. And 27 minutes of a video was spent telling you why David Morgan is not responsible for this budget. And I'm going to spend 20 minutes telling you he wasted his budget. He is not concerned about the deputies. He has got money sitting in the LET fund for recruiting, for training, for equipment, for a lot of things. Not that it wouldn't go towards the pay raises, but it would go towards help fulfilling some of these recruitment issues that would help in the interim. And he spent zero of that. He spent over $100,000 on aid to private agencies for political favor. I mean, some of these agencies do good in the community, which, you can't argue with that. However, he's not giving it to the agencies that do the most good. He's giving it to the agencies with the most political power. You give the money to the people that are going to give you the most money in return. It's political capital, and that's all there is to it. And the reason he hasn't spent any money out of the LET fund on equipment, training, recruiting is because at some point in the year he's going to reallocate that money into the aid to private industries or private organizations. So that, that little shift is good. He's protecting his nest egg. But, Morgan has made himself a millionaire on a civil servant salary. And I don't know about you. I don't know how that happens. Nobody else in the history of the sheriff's department has ever become a millionaire while they were in this position. Yet Morgan has parlayed that into an amazing rise in wealth. And he attributes that to businesses and, real estate. And to a degree that's true, but, his financials, if you ever get an opportunity to look at them under the elections, elected officials, disclosures, it's just amazing. Nobody else has that kind of wealth off of that pay. And, he wasn't a millionaire prior to becoming a sheriff. And the businesses that he has have not grown that much to become a millionaire. Kind of makes you go, how does this work? Mathematically, it doesn't seem to be reflective of how that money appeared and where it came from. Again, none of this money of his millions, less than 2% is going, or less than 1% actually, is going towards any kind of charity into the community. And by the way, he lives in the city, not the county. There are so many things wrong with this picture. But yeah, Morgan was supposedly, the reason he left the military so abruptly was for misuse of government credit cards for personal items. And the investigating officer became his wife, Susan. Now, this can't be corroborated because he won't disclose his medical records, but I have it on good authority that misappropriation would have resulted in felony charges had he not retired. So, you have that speculation. You have the fact that he's misappropriating LAT money. The fact that he lost the jail for the exact same reasons. He was adamant and bullheaded, and he tried to bully money out of the county commissioners, and he lost the jail. Which, by the way, is half of his job description based on the statutes. Yet he has full pay. If somebody takes away half your responsibilities, typically half your pay goes away too. Not in this case. So another fiscal abnormality within the sheriff's department. And let's not forget the fact that his chief financial officer is still in place. The one that basically lost sight of $150,000 going out in embezzlement by Kathy Lister a few years back. Although her supervisor, who was responsible for her, is now still the head of the financial agency, the finances of the agency. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I just wanted people to know that the bullying is crazy. These little PSAs he's doing are meant to mislead and to trigger an emotional reaction in the citizens. And it's unfounded. Completely unfounded. Everybody agrees that law enforcement deserves money. But they also deserve a good leader who shouldn't misappropriate that money. So that's the real issue here. So don't let yourself be fooled by this. Also, I just wanted to mention, I am the director of Florida Open Government Initiative, which is an anti-corruption nonprofit that is trying to build up a backing to actually become more of a watchdog on cases like Mr. Morgan, where he doesn't like to disclose information via public records. He likes to run people in circles and not produce anything. He is the least transparent sheriff we have ever had. He also has a little bit of the Hillary-itis with the emails. I've requested emails from him from the times of the billings, and he has told me that they don't exist. However, he is required by statute to keep those until the end of his tenure. And surprise, surprise, didn't keep them, and he won't access or allow me access to where those emails are. So that's kind of curious. But as the director of Florida Open Government Initiative, I have been trying to receive these emails, and I've had debates with Eric Haynes, and they've tried to extort me. They told me that it would be upwards of $4,000 to get these emails. And they tried to charge me $40 to tell me it would cost them $4,000. Or it would cost me $4,000. You can't do that. You can't charge me for the estimate. But in this whole back and forth with Eric Haynes and some other people that work with me through this organization, the Florida Open Government Initiative, they have decided that they being the sheriff or his personnel or whoever his minions might be, to purchase a website that is almost identical to mine, except for the .org on the end of mine is .com and theirs. And it's a tribute to Sheriff David Morgan. And it says, "We love you, Sheriff Morgan," which I guess you know is a direct violation of what I believe in. It also is a violation of copyright. You know, when I published that website in 2015, copyright automatically attached, as it is an authorship in an endeavor that was created solely by me. They can't use that same name to do business under or to detract my business from. And that's exactly what they're doing. So they will be receiving legal notice of that, and I'm sure their domain will be pulled soon. But I just thought that I was curious, you know, if they ever tell you that I'm irrelevant, I would challenge you to advise them that buying a domain name just for that purpose of harassment probably says I am relevant. But anyway, I'm going to cut this short. Have a good day, and remember, the money's there. 4 people have it, as opposed to the entire agency. So you need to call your sheriff's office. You need to call your public information office. You need to call Chip Simmons. You need to call your board of commissioners, and you need to tell them, you know, this is ridiculous. This money is there, and it was already spent on 4 people, and you know, justify that to me. Tell me why they are so important that everybody else must suffer for their gain. And if you can get an answer to that, God bless you. Please pass it on to me, because nobody will be able to justify that, because it just isn't so. But anyway, have a good day, and I'll check back in on you guys later. Bye.